Witch Hat Atelier Episode 5 was incredible, and honestly I'd be remiss not to talk about it as one of the first truly undeniable moments of this series. Keyfree's water dragon spell is one of those anime moments that transcends the genre and becomes an iconic bit of imagery to the medium. And what's even crazier is that the entire Keyfree dragon scene is like 4 panels in the manga. Bug Films just made all this shit up. It's a huge testament to the talent of the directors and animators working on this because man, they just knocked it out of the park. But to say that's all this episode was is a little reductive because I actually think that beyond pure spectacle, pure hype moments and aura, the philosophy of this fight is what sets Witch Hat Atelier apart from its contemporaries, from most anime, but namely Frieren Beyond Journey's End and Dungeon Meshi. Yes, the fantasy big three all have their dragon fights, but somehow they all handle the idea of a conflict with the dragon differently. There's different problems for the cast to work through, and ultimately each series takes wildly different paths to their solution to the same obstacle. My name's Dom, and this is when 3 different shows approach the same fight differently. Dragons are ubiquitous in fantasy, from books to movies to tabletop games to Western video games, Eastern video games. Dragons are just so hard-baked into the world of fantasy, it's hard not to imagine a series without characters' eventual confrontation with one. In Dungeon Meshi, one of the first things we see in the entire story is a blast of fire giving way to the hellish battle with a red dragon, moments before Fallon gets devoured, setting up its defeat as the end goal of the adventure. In Frieren, Stark is introduced with a dragon encounter, a seemingly impossible fight that the young warrior is in no way ready for. And of course, now, in Witch Hat Atelier, we have a dragon serving as the first real warning sign that the Brimmed Caps are actively making their presence known in this plot. Dragons always feel like fictional boss fights, don't they? And in these series, it's no different. These 3 dragons are almost presented as the first time we get some serious stakes escalation in their respective series. Up until now, Witch Hat has been fairly low stakes. The Dada range was dangerous, sure, but it never really felt like Coco's life was in danger, despite it technically being mentioned. But the 4 apprentice witches standing in the dragon's looming shadow, the sheer scale of this creature, it's a moment that actually truly feels dangerous. Fictional fights are meant to represent something, a battle of ideologies, quite literally trading blows on screen or in the pages in front of us. One character standing for a belief and another standing in opposition to that belief with an ideology of their own. And although dragons don't typically have strong opinions, they lend themselves surprisingly well to thematic archetypes. Tolkien's dragon famously represented greed. The dragons in Game of Thrones represent power and eventually corruption, and ultimately why the show should have ended after season 4. So what do these 3 dragon fights have to say, and why do I think they're so integral to what these shows are all about? In Dungeon Meshi, the showdown with the red dragon is a matter of life and death. It's the first goal, it's the entire objective, and Fallon's life hinges on the result of this fight. And the red dragon rematch feels like the first real tonal shift in this series, the first real moment of peril. Laios has a plan, as always, but this time it just feels insurmountable. No amount of fun monster trivia is going to help with this one. Everything in the plan goes wrong, Senshi and Chilchuck are both knocked out, and it's only through throwing caution to the wind, in a way only Laios can, that he lands a killing blow. And it works, but barely. And it's this scene where the levity of the show takes a hard shift into reality, that this isn't just a comfy cooking show. Fallon didn't just get eaten as a gag. There are some very real stakes here. No, not those. And the dragon fight is the tonal shift where that starts to become apparent. Suddenly eat or be eaten isn't a cute tagline for Netflix, but a warning. In Delicious in Dungeon, the dragon fight is an external conflict. Delicious in Dungeon is primarily, at least in this point in the story, a narrative about man versus nature. The dungeon, the monsters within it, the characters' lack of supplies, their limited inventory. In this survival-based take on fantasy, something akin to real inventory management in a game, this dragon fight is where all of it comes to a head, where it becomes a fight of cleverly utilizing terrain, of making use of their limited weapons and items, and most importantly, not getting burnt to a crisp. This fight is so scrappy, so desperate, but it also feels so logical in a chaotic, improvised D&D table sort of way. And I think that's exactly the feeling and tone Dungeon Meshi is going for. In Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Stark's confrontation with the dragon is a story about bravery, about overcoming our fear. We're introduced to Stark as a cowardly character that can't bring himself to fight the dragon tormenting the outskirts of a nearby village. And finally, after heart-to-hearts with Frieren and Fern, Stark comes to grips with his fear and realizes that all great warriors are afraid. even Aizen. And then, when the fight actually goes down, we finally get the reveal that Stark is way stronger than we thought. It wasn't just that Stark was afraid of the dragon, it was the dragon that was afraid of Stark. In Frieren's approach, this dragon fight is primarily an internal conflict. The battle isn't really Stark versus a solar dragon, but Stark versus himself, coming to terms with his cowardice, his defeatist inner monologue, his imposter syndrome of being a disciple of the legendary warrior when he feels undeserving. The actual battle is basically a minute long, but that minute is the catharsis and the payoff of everything we've learned about Stark in these 2 episodes. It's important for us to know who Stark is and why this fight matters to him. And then in season 2, we get this really awesome full circle moment where Stark has to fight dozens of dragons at once, and it's a scene that reminds us just how far he's come. If the first dragon was an internal conflict of overcoming his fears, the dragons of season 2 are symbolic of his growth. Now, even though there's 20 of them or more, he has no fear. There is no holding back. Stark's already, in just the span of this adventure, become the great warrior he wanted to be. And finally, we have Witch Hat Atelier. In Witch Hat Atelier, we have the most recent approach to a dragon fight of the fantasy big 3. Let's set the scene. Kiefer takes Coco and the girls on a trip down to hit up the magical art supply store. What up, Michaels? Coco sees the exact same weird-looking witch from her childhood, runs down a bunch of comedically foreboding alleyways, and then the 4 apprentices step into a weird labyrinthine MC Escher painting with a strange, incredibly complex spell in the center, unlike any magic they've ever seen. Oh yeah, and of course, there's a dragon. Up until now, we haven't really seen a fight in Witch Hat Atelier, so immediately we start to wonder, how are the girls going to possibly defeat this thing? We've only barely learned the rules of magic. We only just know basic element combinations. This should be completely hopeless for novice witches, even if we presume Agat, Tetia, and Ridgey have some spells up their sleeves. And as Agat snipes the dragon with a fire spell, it becomes clear that this isn't just something that can brute force their way through. Especially not with fire, goddamn. Someone never learned JRPG type matchups. Attacks won't work. It's going to take something different. Witch Hat Atelier is, at its heart, a story about art and creativity. Coming up with creative, outside-the-box solutions to problems is like the entire mission statement of this series, both towards direct physical opponents like dragons, and then later to much more broad, invisible, societal problems, things that can't just be magicked away, some of which are a hell of a lot more real than dragons. But it's through these girls locking in and putting their minds to it that we get a solution no one could have seen coming. Using spells the way magic should be used to bring happiness to all, even to a dragon. And with Ridgey's proficiency in small, quickly sketched patterns, Tetia's patented cozy cloud TM, and Agat's cleverness to realize that repetition is the key, piecing together how all of these spells could fit, the girls combine all of the magic they've used this far into the story, and they come up with a plan that doesn't involve slaying a dragon at all, but to do something different. And of course, none of that happens without Coco, who is such a beacon of hope. That even in these dark moments, she's the one that snaps everyone back with her unrelenting optimism, something that's going to become a bit of a calling card for her in the future of this show. And man, the girls executing this plan is just one of my favorite scenes in the entire series so far. The music in this scene is just on another level. Yuka Kitamura is doing God's work with this OST. I need it injected in my veins. I've never played a Dark Souls game, but I'm about to just because I love this soundtrack so much. The girls navigating this surrealist landscape, mixing parkour with bursts of flight from the sylph shoes, and then a perfect montage of them homing in, drawing their spells. It's just genuinely incredible, and the stakes feel like they're at an all-time high, that everything hinges on this moment. And they nail it. The Dragon Disabler cushion. Oh, my bad, Agat. Sorry, it's the serpent's bed of sand. And Tetia has this moment, this beautiful moment, where she realizes that she's made someone genuinely happy with her magic for maybe the first time. And when you really think about what this story's about, magic is a metaphor for sharing art and creativity and knowledge and making things. This moment isn't too unlike something like Look Back. This is Tetia finding out her own why do you draw moment. It's a personal victory that helps us understand that this conflict wasn't just about a dragon, it was about the apprentices and their own relationship with magic. But then moments later, as the girls dispel the seal, everything goes wrong. The seal explodes and the dragon's back on the attack, and a god falls from the stairwell. And she lent her shoes to Coco. And then, you already know what it is. Kefri makes the save. And let me tell you, bro is not casting spells to spark happiness. I don't know what he's telling these girls. Kefri really said happiness for thee, but not for me. Like, I'm gonna aura farm. I'm gonna destroy this dragon. Ultimately, though, I think this encounter really underlines Witch Hat Atelier's thesis statement up until this point, that magic is going to be used differently in this series, that it's how you use the spells that you have to come up with a solution, that ingenuity and kindness is more important than power. And man, I just think it's a really important message. Witch Hat's dragon fight is a reminder that it's okay to do things your way, to find your own solutions, that using your gifts to bring happiness is sometimes the real victory. Unless you're Kefri, then this is the real victory. I've been Dom. This has been Witch Hat Atelier. And until next time.